It's time, saviors, it's time! Welcome to my second Cleric tier list video, GH here. We're gonna be ranking each classes based on how useful they are, not just how strong their attack is. And also, we're gonna be rating classes on how fun they are to use. And 1 is the highest or best, and 5 is the worst. Just to remind you guys, this is for International Tree of Savior only. It's July 2020 and here is my Cleric tier list video. Let's do this. Opening the door of our tier list video is Chaplain. In my opinion, they need to completely revamp this class. Rework it. Because the only spell that Chaplain has that kinda interests me is the deploy Cabbalalist spell. Aside that, nothing. And considering this class is made for auto attacks, which is kinda bad at the moment, and some of it is even bugged, this class isn't looking good. So I'm gonna put it in the lowest possible rank, number 5. When he opened the door, he got killed instantly. Second class we have here is Crusader. This is the main magic user class in the Cleric class 3. If you're interested in making an intelligence type Cleric, this will be the centerpiece. This is one of the best class in the Cleric class 3, but isn't the top Cleric class in my opinion. At the moment, things could change, so for now I'm gonna be putting Crusader in the rank 2 spot. Coming up next is Dievdirbys. Diev, it's the cooldown reduction class. That's it. Most of its abilities are it's underwhelming. But oh my, the cooldown reduction is so helpful to everyone that you don't need the other Diev statues, which kind of bothers me because taking a class because of only one ability isn't good. Because in the case of Diev, after using the cooldown buffs, it's mostly just the World 3 statue, which is not fun. So if I consider how useful, how fun the class is, I'm gonna put Diev in rank 2. It's so close to being rank 3, but the cooldown reduction is just so good and beneficial to the party that it deserves that spot. Next class is Druid. This is the best secondary class that you can pick in the Cleric class 3. Because it works with everything. Increases your crit rate, crit damage, gives you additional abilities and heals. To put it simply, it's the class that you will get if you want more damage increase in your current build. It's also a good healer, and combine it with the Diev cooldown reduction, healing will be much more easier. In terms of how useful it is overall and how fun it is, I'm gonna put Druid in rank 1. Okay, the highest gear of an engine, the 5th class, is Exorcist. It's the class that we take if we think we have an insufficient number of spells. Basically, you add Exorcist if the current build you have only has a few spells. Or if you can use everything in just a blink, then you have nothing to use. And the downtime is annoying. Exorcist fixes that because Exorcist has an array of spells that will eliminate any downtime in your build. It also offers a magic damage buff that will help your burst damage capability, which works well with Crusader. In terms of how useful and fun the class is, I'm gonna be putting it in rank 3. It's very close to rank 2 because it works well with one of the most used magic Cleric build. In my opinion, it needs a bit more skill factor to be more valuable. Coming up at number 6 is Inquisitor. This is the main class for physical type Cleric build. The burst damage capability of this class is insane. It gives you a variety of offensive abilities that's very useful for boss rushing. It gives more crit rate and more physical damage as abilities is being used around you. Actually, I might use this class in the next Cleric boss fighting build that I would make. Breaking Wheel plus Ripper is just broken as hell. And don't be surprised if IMC suddenly nerfed those two abilities, because it's really good. I'm putting Inquisitor in rank 1. Class number 7 is Kabbalist. If you have Kabbalist, you're a friggin' healer. Ainsoft is just so good in terms of healing that I'm pretty sure IMC will nerf it someday. I just hope not, because no one wants to be a healer. There's always a lack of healers in the game. Everyone is DPS. Let's keep it real here. Healers should be easy to play, so we can have more of them. With the way Kabbalist is right now, it's just perfect. Most people think healing is easy peasy, but they wouldn't admit that there's a certain stress about being a support healer, because when someone dies, it's automatically your fault. Even though that guy who just died is wearing a bikini armor and doesn't know how to play, or he's lagging and all the other factors why he died, it's still your fault. That's why no one wants to be a healer. There's so much responsibility. Anyway, Kabbalist, it also offers damage increase. With how useful it is overall, I'm gonna put it in rank 1. If you want to heal, include this in your build. Another reason I'm putting this in rank 1 is to show new players that if you wanna learn how to heal, Kabbalist is the way to go. Rushing in to number 8 is Krivis. Now at the moment, with how volatile this class is, it's always changing and IMC doesn't seem to figure out how to do Krivis properly. As it is right now, it's a class that offers a few damage over time spells, and a buff that increases all Krivis spells. It also has a buff that increases its own damage and a party buff that increases crit damage of the whole party, which could be useful for DPS builds. The problem with this is you can get a better selection of buffs from other classes, and it seems to focus on its self spells. The only good thing I see in Krivis at the moment is the critical damage party buff. You could probably pair it with Paladin to be a damage buffer build, then maybe add Kabbalist or Priest for healing and support. With how Krivis is at the moment, I'm gonna be putting it in rank 4. Lucky number 9 is Miko. This is another magic damage buffer that goes along well with Crusader. It will offer an increase in burst damage and a skill that removes buffs of enemies, and a buff that randomly selects an effect, which is not good because you don't wanna be good randomly. But if you get the good buffs, it's good, I guess. But would you really get it? Really? You're going to rely on randomized buffs? I don't think so. If you combine this with Exorcist, your only reliable attack, Hamaya, will be better in terms of damage. Judging this with the way it was made, which is to support the magic damager class, I'm gonna be putting Miko in rank 3. Numero 10 at the number 10 spot, it's Monk. In my opinion, this is the most fun class in the Cleric class 3. Just in case you guys have forgotten, we play games because we want to have fun. And now that I got that out of the way, Monk at its current state is the class that most people choose because they want to have fun or they haven't tried the other classes. Monk offers a variety of abilities that will add more damage to physical attacks that works well with Inquisitor. The problem with Monk at the moment is its key ability that increases skill damage requires a bit of work to activate. And that's not good because what you get is a short duration skill damage buff. If the duration is longer, maybe 3 times the duration or at least 2, maybe I will rank Monk in a higher position. But for now, I'm gonna put Monk in rank 3 based on how useful and fun it is. Next class is Oracle. In terms of utility, it's probably the best. A lot of its spells is very useful in so many ways. This is also the class that can use Divine Might, that adds +1 level to skills of the whole party and everyone wants it. And of course, damage increase, that's always welcome. Then counter spell, magic circle remover, magic defense buffer, and more. And yeah, twist of fate. You can snap a boss out of existence when the HP is very low. In terms of how useful Oracle is, I'm gonna put it in rank 2. It's very close to rank 1 To be honest, this class is not fun to play around with. It's just very useful. Number 12 in our tier list is Paladin. For those of you who doesn't know, Paladin was just reworked and is now a buffer class with slight healing capability. It can now increase damage of elements, physical and magical attack, increase your physical and magic defense, and more self-defense buff. And that will make a build much more tougher and can take more hits and increase survivability. With how useful it is right now, I will be putting it in rank 3 because as a damage buffer, it doesn't really specialize on anything. It's kinda on the middle ground. It's decent on magic damage increase and physical damage increase. For the next class, it's Pardoner. This is the buffer shop that can also give a substantial magic defense buff, which is admittedly, it's very useful, but that's about it. It's a shop that sells buffs and provide more defense buffs. I'm not gonna rank this based on the money making capability, and instead, I would be ranking this on its endgame content ability and its contribution on the build. And for what it is, I will be putting it on rank 4. This is just an alt account that can sell buffs, and sometimes you use it to get magic defense buffs, and yeah, it makes scrolls. Coming up next is PD. I can't really read the class name because YouTube is gonna whip my behind. Because you know the word is, it's the demonetized word of the year. Now PD, in terms of utility, it's amazing. But it's more for a specific type of content. Most people choose it for PvP because it gives you a lot of advantage in combat situations, plus it runs real fast, which is probably one of the most annoying ability in the game. It's also good in dimensional collapse point because again, it runs fast. When you run fast, you can get away from danger much faster. It's not really required in dimensional collapse point, it just helps. And in raid dungeons, mobility again is very useful. So yeah, PD is okay. So I'm gonna put PD in rank 3. A very useful class, but not really required. We can live without it, except maybe in PvP. Next class is Priest. This class haven't really changed much in a long time. It's still the class that provides a guaranteed protection on one death for every few minutes. It also offers buffs and a substantial amount of party heals. And recently, the class got another use, and it's for dimensional collapse point. Because of PU, Turn Undead, you can use it to instantly defeat enemies, demon and devil types to be precise. Based on how hard it is to remove Priest in a build because of how useful it is at the moment, I'm putting Priest on rank 2. This is usually the chosen healer support class in a hybrid build that can also unleash decent damage. It's usually Priest, Druid, Inquisitor, or Priest, Druid, Crusader. Those two builds I mentioned is actually, in my opinion, should be the build of most veteran players because it can support and also provide DPS. I think this class is number 16 and is the second to the last class. It's Sadhu. Is Sadhu still Badhu? In my opinion, it's workable now. It's actually pretty good for boss fighting, and it also complements Crusader because Sadhu now offers magic and critical damage increase and a wide array of offensive spells that can help increase damage output. If you're tired of Exorcist, this could be a good replacement. I'm gonna put Sadhu in rank 3. And here it is, the last class. It's the final countdown. The last class is Zealot. This class is just recently reworked with increased skill factor and better buffs. It kind of functions like Barbarian. It increases overall damage and crit rate and adds worthwhile skills that can also deal damage. Right now, it's usually paired with Inquisitor and it's really hard to replace it in that build. It's usually Inquisitor, Zealot, and Druid. Actually, I believe it's one of the best boss rushing builds at the moment. I urge any Cleric mains out there to try it out. In my opinion, it's better than the Crusader build. But that's just me. I'm putting Zealot in rank 2. And that's it, guys. That's my Cleric tier list for July 2020. Please look at the date and ask if there's any changes to the classes. I hope this helped you guys, because it took a while changing to each of these classes. So like it if it helped you, share to help us with the algorithm, and subscribe to be part of the Gaming Hardcore family. And as always, this is Gaming Hardcore. See you in the next one.